More of those paid fake protests and proof of it, thanks to an awesome independent journalist who also makes a great point. What happened to all the anti-ICE protesters? Where'd they all go? There's more proof that all this stuff is fake. Crockett out in Texas. That was big. I got a whole lot of Rubio for you today. I don't think I've ever played 3 clips and reacted to it from any politician anywhere, but Marco Rubio is, I think, deserving of it. Even a clip that's 11 years old to prove that this is the same guy he's always been. And remember that guy that killed the United Healthcare CEO in cold blood, like murdered him on the street? He's being honored with his own play in New York City. That's right. That's where we are. It's all right. Thanks for being here with Wicked Radio. I appreciate you. Live stream Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. Eastern Time on X and YouTube and Facebook, when those platforms work. The audio podcast always works, though, and that's posted right after we get off. But let's get right to it. I'm not going to bore you with all election results. There were a bunch of special elections and primaries throughout the country yesterday. This is the most notable one. Jasmine Crockett. Remember her? With the fake eyelashes and the fake, as we learned, the fake ghetto accent, because she's not. She was actually very well educated, and she's actually from a middle-class neighborhood. But she has been ousted, apparently, in Dallas County, Texas, and she's not too happy about it. We won't go through all these things, but I thought this was interesting because of what she said immediately after not the election results, they're still counting, but it looks like she's going to lose. Listen to what she's hinting at here. Listen to what she's intimating.
All Red has already stated. We encourage each and every one of you to remain resilient. We cannot allow this type of behavior to be rewarded, because so long as they know that they can win, even if it means cheating, then they will continue to do it. So
What? What did she hint at there? Cheating? Hold on a second. I thought, wait a minute. Hold on a second. When you've had people on the other team, on the red team, accusing people of the other team of cheating, they were like, they were censored and they were, told to shut up, and they weren't like, how come she can? Isn't that amazing? So she's losing a primary election, or is about to, and all of a sudden cheating was involved. And by the way, here's the other question. What happened to the fake accent? That's not the same person that we heard in the halls of Congress bobbing her head and weaving and yelling and pointing her finger and all that other stuff. So this is a completely different person, apparently, when it's really serious. Wow. So she's got a different accent for the occasion, apparently. Very interesting. We'll see where that goes. All right, enough of I guess the only other primary of note, unless you live in those states, Dan Crenshaw, the Republican guy with the eye patch, I guess he's out. He lost his primary too, so that's an interesting development. He was waning in popularity in recent times. All right, let's go to a guy who's gaining in popularity, Marco Rubio. He has come a long way since he was Little Marco. Remember that infamous debate in 2015 when Trump just blasted him? Marco Rubio, I would like to call him, and I used to call him the most improved player of the administration. I don't think that's true. I think I was wrong. He's not the most improved player. I think he's always been awesome. This was him yesterday. He's Secretary of State now, as we all know. He said it the other day, and I think it was a little bit too late. They should have put him out ahead of time, explaining the Iran action and saying that this was going to happen. This war was already happening. We're putting an end to it. We're not starting it. This is years in the making because of our stupid policies, and stop blaming Israel. But they still took that clip and they still twisted it around to make it look like it was Israel's fault and all this other crap. Same thing. Well, now he's out and about and he's in the halls of Congress and he's blasting these people, these reporters specifically, for twisting his words. This is the first. I have 3 clips from Marco Rubio. I've never played 3 clips from any one person, I don't think, except for maybe for Trump. But here he is first and foremost. I started this one first because I love that he blasts the media. I love this.
Your quote is about, we knew that there was going to be an Israeli action. We knew that would precipitate an attack.
Yeah, no, I understand. But listen, all right, let me understand. Yeah, but I had a very specific question from that gentleman, right?
The president said that.
Hold on one second. I asked
he may have forced Israelis.
Okay, but let me answer, because this is my press conference. Sure. Okay.
I love that. You didn't get too much out of that except for him shutting down the reporter, interrupting him. I'm going to use that. I'm going to use that in my own personal life. Because, I've said this before on the air. I think personal communication has gone right down the tubes. And I think it's social media's fault. Everybody just talks over each other and interrupts each other all the time. Next time somebody talks over me, any kind of a meeting or in life, I'm just going to say, this is my press conference. Because it worked for Marco. And it'll stun the next person. They'll go, what the hell is he talking about? But it'll get him to shut up. All right, anyway, here's the more important stuff from the very same press conference. This is what he really got.
Listen, let me explain to you guys this in simple English. Okay? Iran is run by lunatics, religious fanatic lunatics. They have an ambition to have nuclear weapons. They intend to develop those nuclear weapons behind a program of missiles and drones and terrorism that the world will not be able to touch them for fear of those things. And this is the weakest they've ever been. Now is the time to go after them. The president made the decision to go after them, take away their missiles, take away their navy, take away their drones, take away their ability to make those things so that they can never have a nuclear weapon. That's why the president made this decision. It was the right decision, and the world will be a safer place when these radical clerics no longer have access to these weapons. You see how they're using them now. Imagine how they would use.
He shouldn't have to ever hold another impromptu press conference again or make a statement about it again, because he said everything right there. But he's going to have to, because they've already twisted that around to make believe that that's not what he said. He said it right there. These people are lunatics. They have nuclear weapons. The world is safer now that we took them out. And we've been battling them not for days, not for weeks, for decades. This is all, again, I said this for 20 straight minutes yesterday. This has already been happening. We're preventing a war with this action. But they'll twist it around again. But just save that, bookmark that, and send it to your liberal lunatic friends at work or in your family whenever they say, why are we starting a war with Israel? Just play them that clip if they want to listen. Play that. They're probably the people that are shut-ins and watch The View, but save that for him. But like I said, he's not the most improved player, because you'd have to come from a place where you were kind of incompetent and then get a lot better. That was never Marco Rubio. This guy's always been fantastic. And this is not some sort of a new line because he works in this administration now, because now he's the Secretary of State. This isn't new. Let's flash back. There's another thing I don't think I've done, besides 3 clips from the same person. I don't think I've flashed back 11 years to play something. Here he was on the Senate floor blasting that ridiculous, dangerous, absolutely, I would say, corrupt Iran nuclear deal where we have kept on appeasing them. Let's give them money. Let's appease them. Let's give them what they want. Let's embolden these maniacs as, you know what happened after this and during. They just sponsored more terrorist acts throughout the world, yes, including in North America. Here it was blasting that stupid decision by the egghead think tank Ivy League morons who like forever wars in the Obama administration back in the day. This is Marco Rubio. He's always been right.
Mr. President, I'll be brief. I know the senator from Tennessee would like to close on this matter. I think everything that needs to be said about the details of this deal have already been said. I do want to be recorded for history's purposes before I know what is going to happen in regards to this if it goes through. Iran will immediately use the money that it's receiving in sanctions relief to begin to build up its conventional capabilities. It will establish the most dominant military power in the region outside of the United States, and it will raise the price of us operating in the region. They're going to build anti-access capabilities, rockets capable of destroying our aircraft carriers and ships, continue to build these swift boats that are able to come on us, these fast boats that are able to swarm our naval assets. And they'll make it harder and harder for U.S. troops to be in the region. They'll also work with other terrorist groups in the region to target American servicemen and women. And they may or may not deny that they're involved, but they will target us and raise the price of our presence in the Middle East until they hope to completely pull us out of that region.
Everything he said turned out to be true. Again, that was 11 years ago. Senator Marco Rubio from Florida saying that. And he said, and I'm so glad he did say that. He said, I want this earmarked for history. I want this recorded so we can look back on this and tell me I'm wrong. He was exactly right about all of that. That's why, and I say it again, and I know I was hammering this yesterday, this has been coming to a head for years. We could have stopped it back then. We could have stopped it with Obama, Bush, Clinton. We could have stopped it with Jimmy Carter. Let's not forget about American hostages that were held captive. That's when those insane Islamic lunatics took over. That's when all of this started. This is nothing new. This is putting an end to that madness, not starting it. But they won't. All of that's there for everybody to learn. Will they? No, absolutely not. It won't be presented that way in the lamestream, corrupt media we have, which is why you have things like this, which is why the same lame media outlets keep paying attention and keep putting on television and keep putting in front page news these fake, inorganic paid protests. But more proof came out yesterday. Not like you didn't already know, but this is fascinating. Please follow this guy. There's another, and thank God. God bless these independent journalists who are on the streets actually getting this done. We talked about Nick Sorter. Nick Shirley's another one. This guy's name is Nate Friedman. I think he's New York-based, but he does stories throughout the country as well. but he's based in New York, and he just went down the street with his camera guy and his microphone, and he caught the paid protesters in action as they were setting up and literally rolling in on wagons their pre-printed fake protest signs, and got them to admit that they're paid to be there. The same exact people. He went on to say, and other reporters have said the same thing, the cops that patrol that area, usually Times Square, Columbus Circle in New York, it's the same in other cities too. All the cops know all the protesters. Pick an issue, whatever it is. The Stop ICE, the Free Palestine people, the pick an issue. It's the same people. It's the same inorganic protest. It's the same signs with just different wording, and he caught him red-handed yesterday. This is fascinating. And again, we should all earmark this, but please follow this guy, Nate Friedman. Caught him red-handed yesterday. This is just a little bit of what he exposed.
All right, so you can see that none of this is grassroots. This is all paid for. Hey, how you doing, guys? Where are we headed with these signs?
We're good, William.
Okay, so this guy's gonna drive up, and they're gonna load all the signs into this car right here. Here we go. Let's load them all into this van. See for yourself, ladies and gentlemen. Witness this.
What is wrong?
What is wrong with us?
You are such a cowardly piece of shit.
Why?
You are.
Why? How am
pays
I?
you?
Who pays me? YouTube pays me. My viewers pay me
How much
by
money do you
watching.
get? This is not real journalism. You're a fake, you complete fake
Okay.
journalist.
Did you or did you not get
$20
$20 million from Roy Neville saying I'm to protest? Did you or did you
How
not?
much money do you get for your right-wing bullshit?
That's so she obviously recognized Nate Friedman from, exposing this garbage before, and she's coming out of, this is the thing that got me too, and I didn't notice this at first in the clip. You saw and heard there, they're rolling up the yellow signs, the hands off Iran, that's the new phrase, right? They've replaced Stop ICE, they've replaced Free Palestine. This is the new thing. Funded by, as he said there, this Singham, whatever the hell his name is, another communist, CCP money, funding all this crap. He's rolling in there. He shows them rolling up with the signs. She's walking out of an office space that they've rented. She's coming out of it. That's why they were dropping him off there at that particular location in Manhattan. They have office space. They have signs. He got them later on. He's done this in previous videos. He got one of the paid protesters to admit that he's making $75,000 a year participating in these fake protests. Like I said, all the cops know him. They see them all the time. People like Nate and other independent journalists have done the geolocating. You can tag people's phones, and they travel. Oh, they'll go to protests in Chicago and L.A. and New York and Boston and Philly and wherever you want. Minneapolis, I'm sure they're there too. Speaking of Minneapolis, where's all the Stop ICE protests? Where'd they go? Oh, because we got a new thing. They have a new carrot. They have a new thing to talk about. The hands off Iran. Just insane. All of it is fake, inorganic crap. But you still have the people that pay attention to this stuff because they still believe that mainstream news is not lying to them. They still believe it's true because they will cover this front and center. I guarantee it's the same reporters. And this protest was in Columbus Circle. Same reporters, same camera people, same news people from the networks there. They know all the protesters too, and the protesters know them. It's all a game. It's all rigged, it's all a game, and it's all fake. All of it. But you know better. And thank God that guy, just like Nick Shirley and Nick Sorter, Nate Friedman, follow him. Thank God for the independent journalists. They're doing God's work. All right, here's another video that's going viral. This one from TMZ. TMZ, the entertainment network, which is kind of fascinating because TMZ, as far as entertainment goes, they almost always they must have reporters in every corner of the world because it's in either a sports entertainment or a movie entertainment or TV, whatever. Whenever something breaks, a lot of it's tabloid crap. That's what they do. But they usually get it right, and they're usually first on the story. I always said if they ever put together a news network, they would probably blow the other people out of the way. Out of the water. Not saying they're any better. I'm just saying of higher value. They're just better at getting the story out there. Well, they featured a lady yesterday that is a military wife. You might have seen this video because it's going viral. I don't know her name. It's not important to get into that. So her husband is serving overseas, and she does a car interview with TMZ that Harry, whatever the hell his name is, Levin is talking to her. And she blasts the administration, blasts our country for being over there while her husband is serving. It's important to note here before you see or listen to this clip, TMZ only gets a hold of somebody like this for an interview if she's done previous stuff like this before. So that's one or two things. She's kind of like has a publicist to get the word out there about this. Or this poor guy who's married to her is serving overseas. He's got the worst military wife ever. And he has to like suffer with her talking to the media while he's trying to do his job. But this is what she said yesterday. You tell me there's not somebody backing her to get her these interviews.
He's also not happy. And I will say more than any other decision that any commander-in-chief has made, in his entirety being in the military, more service members are being vocally upset about this than we've ever seen before. But it is very obvious to a lot of service members and a lot of military families that this has nothing to do with protecting Americans. This has everything to do with distracting from this administration's dismal performance at home. And
again, this is one of two things and only two things. She's either the absolute worst military wife, I keep mispronouncing that, of all time, and he has to deal with her. He's like, oh, God, everybody's telling me she went on TMZ again. Or she and her military husband are fully behind this. And why is it that she's getting interviews on TMZ, which is a massive network, massive? They don't get her name randomly out of nowhere and just pick out a hat and contact her. She's doing interviews for a reason. Somebody or something wants her out there spreading this message. Here's another question for you. You think remember the Seditious Six with Slotkin and Mark Kelly, and they all got on there and they did that video, and Maggie Goodlander from New Hampshire, and they all encouraged military members to disobey orders. Remember that? You think she was influenced by that or is part of that or not? I'll just ask the question. That's all I do is ask questions and seek information. But it's very suspicious that somebody like that, a military wife, gets an interview on TMZ randomly out of nowhere. I don't know this for a fact. I would be willing to bet you a lot of money that she's done a lot of interviews previously. They don't just find her randomly in her car and put her on their network for millions of views. Is a reason why she's doing it. So, terrible military wife or paid agitator. One of two ways. Or speaking of paid, how about this? Remember the lunatic? Was it last year or the year? Last year. I think it was last year. Wintertime. Luigi Mangione murdered the United Healthcare CEO, shot him in the back in Manhattan in cold blood, just killed him. Remember that happened? He's been in jail. And then almost immediately we saw the support for this person from mostly young females. Oh, he said, free Luigi. Those were more protests. That's right. That was another one. Remember those? The Free Luigi protests with the same looking yellow pre-printed signs, whatever, the same thing, just to cause discourse in our country. Remember all that? Well, he's still in jail, apparently awaiting trial and all this other stuff. It's capital murder charges. And, well, now he's got a show. It's not his show. It's not like he has a talk show from prison. His character is featured in a play. Once again, in New York City. It's not Broadway. It's way off Broadway. But Luigi, the killer of the United Healthcare CEO, is featured in this one, and it apparently looks
Can I get a soap and some towels, I guess?
Yeah, let's just check your balance, Mangione. It looks like it is $400,000?
Yeah, okay. Now, I'm not claiming that this is going to be any kind of a big success or anything. And again, this isn't exactly a Broadway-produced play. This is way off Broadway, and it's probably not going to make a lot of money. Still, now you've crossed a line. As if you didn't cross a line when you murdered the United Healthcare CEO. Now, I'm somebody that, and I've said this before publicly many, many times, I am no fan of our healthcare system. I've been in it. I've fought it with family issues. I've suffered through it just like you have. I think it's a crock. I think we pay too much. That doesn't mean I would ever be in support of somebody murdering a United Healthcare CEO, because that was just absolutely disgusting. And now the protests were one thing. The support for this lunatic is another thing. I mean, even Charles Manson got female supporters. I mean, it's like a sociological, psychological kind of thing. It just kind of happens. But now, I'm not saying they're going to make a lot of profit off this ridiculous play, but they are going to profit somehow, some way off his image and his likeness. Now you've crossed into territory where he's spitting on the grave of this guy and you're insulting his family. I don't know whether the United Healthcare CEO was crooked. I think the whole industry is crooked. I don't know what kind of a person he was, but he was still a husband and a dad and a family man. And now he's got they have a family without a dad and a husband. And now you're mocking that. This goes beyond just trying to make a point about the healthcare industry, and now you're flat out mocking it. So I don't know how much money they're going to make off this, but I hope I truly do. I hope the family of this murdered healthcare CEO puts a stop to this and sues them to kingdom come so they never do this kind of thing again. I really do, because now it's a separate issue from the healthcare industry, which is terrible. But spitting on the grave of somebody that you murdered to do it. And it's his image and likeness, and he didn't even, sign off on it. You can't sue him, but you can sue whoever's producing this thing, and I hope they do, because it's in bad taste, to say the least. All right, I'm out of here. I'm out of material. You got to get on with your day. Thanks for hanging out with me, as always. I appreciate you. Honestly, this is the takeaway. Follow the independent journalists like that Nate Friedman guy who's on the streets showing you. Remember Elon said, we're the media now? Showing you how fake these paid protests are. And where did the Stop ICE protesters go? They're on to a new shiny new ball in the corner. Remember that. That's your takeaway for today. Thanks for hanging out with me on the live stream. But the replay also on X and Facebook and YouTube and the audio podcast, wherever you like to get those as well. Have a wicked awesome midweek. I'll talk to you tomorrow.